Hello, this is Finding Meaning and Making Your Own Path. Welcome. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. If you're watching this, then you've come a long way towards creating a life full of meaning and purpose. This is no small thing, and you should feel most excellent and really proud for making it this far. So I'll say it again. I want to thank you for spending your time with me here today. Um, I'm Joel Connolly. I'm the creative director of Blackbird Ventures. I'm also the head of the Blackbird Foundation. Prior to this, I built our community program. And then before that, I worked in the music industry as an artist manager and also ran a craft beer festival, a whole bunch of other things. Everything that I'm going to tell you today about finding meaning and purpose through your work is all just coming from my own personal journey. So take what you will, discard the rest, but I hope it's helpful. What's the point? So, we all have precious little time on this earth. And as you live your life, you have a choice to make. Will you be intentional about how you spend your time, or will you just let life happen to you? If you're here, it means you've already made this choice. You're in the pursuit of a life that is meaningful and that has purpose. And the next question to tackle, and this is a really tough one, although it shouldn't be, is to ask how one creates meaning. How does one find purpose in life? Now, there are many dimensions to life, to our life, to your life, but we're going to focus specifically on one dimension today, and that is work. You spend the majority of your life working, the majority of your week is spent working, and most people never find work that creates meaning for them. So today, we're going to talk about how to make life more meaningful by working on things that are important to you. Now, at the end of this, I hope you'll have what you need to go out there and figure out what it is that you want to create, or at the very least, you'll have some tools and maybe a bit of insight that might help you begin the journey. The first thing that I need to say to you is that, and that I want you to truly know, is that you are entirely unique. No one on earth is exactly like you. No one can compete with you on being you. You are a product of your own unique DNA, your upbringing, your communities, your family, the geography that surrounds you, so much more. This means that you are specifically qualified in ways that no one else on earth is. Now, to extrapolate a little bit further on this, you're capable of making things that no one else on earth has the capacity to make. You simply need to find your way towards what this might be. Now, if you accept this, that you're absolutely unique, then the next question we need to answer is, how do we define what this means? And how do you work out what to do with your uniqueness? I believe that the answers to these questions lie within your passion and your creativity. So many of the things that we experience every single day are the product of someone's passion and creativity, from the clothes that you wear to the needle and the thread that was used to make them. Someone, somewhere, at some point, thought this stuff up and made it possible. A passion and creativity are behind many of the things that make life meaningful and worthwhile. Every one of us has passion, and every one of us is creative. Within your own passion and creativity, you will find a lifetime of things to do. And within your passion and your creativity, you'll find an individuality that no one else can replicate. Society will pay you to make things that it wants. It just doesn't know what it wants. If it did, they'd already be made and you wouldn't have a thing to do. Through your passion and your creativity, you will find these things to make, and they'll be meaningful to you and they'll be useful to people. It's the beginning of the founder journey. So, finding your passion and creativity. You already have passion, and creativity has been in you for as long as you've been alive. Every single one of us is creative. Everything ever made by anyone is a product of their creativity and the passions that fueled that creativity. So, what are your passions? How are you creative? This is where we begin. Now, To start with this, you were most likely more creative, or the most creative you've ever been in your childhood. And this is as good a place to start as any. So I want you, just bear with me for a sec. I want you to think back to when you were young and to the things that were natural to you and that you gravitated towards. What were you good at? What was play like for you? If you had free time, what did you do with it? Maybe you had a skill like you could play an instrument, or maybe you were social and you like hanging out with friends and family. Just think back to the things that you did that felt most natural to you. Now, fast forward today to the present. Ask yourself, where are your passions now? What feels natural to you? Your passions, here's a clue, they'll feel like play to you, but they'll look like work to others. So how do you play? What most feels like play to you? Now, I'll say these aren't, you're not going to discover all this stuff right now in this call. Maybe you will, maybe you already know some of these things, but my point is this is a journey of self-discovery. It'll take you some time, and you need to perform some radical reflection in order to really get to this stuff. But the good news is you only need one small thread. Once you have a small thread in your fingers, begin to pull. Now, what happens when you get this thread and you find out what it is and you grab hold and you start to pull on that thread? First thing, if you're rediscovering something that you knew in your childhood, or perhaps it's an entirely new thing that you didn't actually know was a passion, in both these cases, what you should be doing is just going into learner mode. Learn as much as you can. Read all the books, listen to all the podcasts. The totality of human knowledge is at your fingertips. Grab it. Once you've done this and you've quenched that thirst and you've learned as much as you can, go out and find other people who are also interested in this thing that's your passion. Now find these people, meet them, build relationships with them. This is called community. Learn from them, help them to learn from you. Begin to do the thing together. This is, aside from being really rich and rewarding in of itself, this is also a really great way to find ideas. Now, you shouldn't think that, you find your passion, let's say it's pottery or something. You shouldn't imagine that what you will do with this passion will necessarily be the thing. You won't necessarily go and make clay cups, but delving into this world and finding people, finding community who also, care about the same thing, this will allow you to discover some of the problems that need to be solved. So while you might not go out there and make cups for a living, you might invent a wheel, a new wheel for spinning clay, or you might begin to teach people in a unique way on the internet or whatever. It could be anything, but it's not necessarily going to be the actual thing that you love. It might be a thing around it. My point is, community is a great way for you to figure out what needs to be solved so that you can begin. But what my point is, again, going back to the start of this, all of this starts with your passion and your creativity. This is Tim. He worked in advertising. He used to run his own agency and made ads for like McDonald's and whatnot. In around 2012, he reads an article about self-driving cars. Now, at the time, these things were pretty much science fiction. Outside of academic institutions, no one was trying to make cars drive themselves. Tim became obsessed. He read everything he could. He learned absolutely everything. And he came up with his own idea for what cars that drive themselves might look like. This is it. He came up with this all on his own. Now, he had no technical background. This is a prototype, by the way, but he had no technical background, never written a line of code as far as I know, but he formed a vision for what the world would look like if he could succeed in creating a fleet of self-driving cars that would kind of act like Uber. Now, he went to every auto conference, every event. He went to like software engineers. He went to universities, everywhere pitching his idea. No one wanted to listen. Now, he had no technical co-founder. He's just a dude with some ideas from an advertising agency, okay? But he persisted. He met a co-founder at Crown Casino. This wasn't the technical co-founder, but he met one of them at Crown Casino at a poker table, right? So he pitched Blackbird, and we told him to come back when he had a technical co-founder. So he goes out and he finds one. He finds one in Jesse Levinson. And in 4 years' time, so we invested and so did others. In 4 years, He built Zoox into a company valued at $3.2 billion. He raised $800 million over 2 rounds, hired like 500 people, filed over 125 patents across software, hardware, and design. My point is that all of this came from his passion and his creativity. He found a thread and he pulled on it. There's a thread for each and every one of you. Find it and pull on it.